30 years is a long time to do anything. Just imagine being a professional motorsports team for 30 consecutive years. Well, that's what we have with Venturini Motorsports. So we're going to sit down with Billy and Wendy Venturini to find out how this team and family got involved in motorsports. We'll also talk to current drivers Ryan Reed and Brennan Poole to talk about what it means to drive for this historic team. But first, we've got to sit down with the man himself, Big Bill Venturini, find out how they got started in motorsports and how they've kept the doors open for 30 years.
Bill's competitive drive and passion for racing began in the 1970s. After watching his father, Tony, race stock cars at Soldier Field in Chicago for more than 20 years, Bill's own racing career began to take off. His tireless dedication catapulted his career to the ARCA Series, where he would earn Rookie of the Year honors in 1983. By 1987, he had won his first ARCA Series championship. With the attention he received for his title run, along with all-female pit crew, Bill was faced with some hard decisions on which direction to head next.
When I won my first championship in '87, I should have packed up my family and moved to Charlotte. And I said, no, I can't take that chance. I have to support my family. I had 2 kids at the time. It was like, no, I just can't do it. And I stayed in Chicago, and I continued to run my businesses, which were very good. I was pretty comfortable in what we were doing up there. I was financially okay, and it was a bad winter, really a bad winter one year. And I was out in a tow truck at 10 o'clock at night, and I'm working the gas station because that's what I had. And I come into the office, and here's my wife in the office at 10 o'clock doing bookwork. I'm out in the 20-degree slushy snow towing cars in, and I looked there and I go, what the heck are we doing this for? You know, my kids are home by themselves. We got a bit, somebody watching the kids. And she says, well, we're doing this so we can race. I said, no, we're not. This is crazy. I says, if we're going to do this, we need to move. So in 91, from the 87 till 91, it took me that many years to establish what we wanted to do, where we wanted to live. I had to sell some of my businesses, and I got enough money to come down here and buy the property, build a shop, and then go from there.
That same year, Bill would win his second ARCA championship, cementing his place in motorsports history. He decided soon after to hand over the reins to his son Billy, who would go on to race in the NASCAR and ARCA ranks. Billy would see some success in the driver's seat, but the team had fallen on hard times that Bill Sr. feared might end his family's legacy on the racetrack.
I was funding it myself. We had some sponsors that helped them out, but it wasn't enough to keep the ARCA program going because the cost had escalated so greatly in the ARCA series in the last 10 years. And it just got to the point where I just couldn't fund it anymore. We sat down, me and him sat down, and I said, what do you want to do with your life, Billy? I mean, obviously we can't continue the way we're going. He said, well, I want to make this my life, Dad. This is my passion is racing. And I says, well, we've got to figure out a way to do it. And he said, I want to kind of do this driver development program and let's see how it goes. I think there's a future in it, looking where the industry was going. By going with the driver development program, you open the door to not just the resources that we as a company know, but these people have resources. And it made sense to go ahead and try it. And actually our first driver was Joey Logano, really. He was our breakthrough. J.D. Gibbs raced with Billy back when Billy was racing Legends cars. And we went and met with him, and we gave him a price, and he said, let's try it. So we did one race, and they liked it so much they signed up for 2 years with us. That opened the door to everyone in the country to realize that, well, wait a minute. Venturini Motorsports put Joey Logano, who was a Joe Gibbs driver, in their cars, and he won. There's something going on here. Well, it's turned into this,
Though it took a little getting used to for Bill in the beginning, he has no regrets about expanding the business outside of the family.
You got to understand something. I love coming to work. Most people get up in the morning and they say, oh man, I got to go to work. I hate my job. I'm here on Sundays. I'm here on Saturdays. On the days off, I'm here. I love what I do. I don't look at it as a job, and I don't realize how successful we've been till people tell us. This is the first year that I've actually sat back and said, oh my gosh, we've really accomplished a lot in what we've done. Seeing my son, seeing my daughter, being inducted into the Hall of Fame, even the one in Talladega, which I've been in there since 20 years ago. They redid it this year. They redid the whole, and they did a whole wall, and there's a picture of, I mean, the wall is of us. You know, before I thought we were a small part of ARCA, now I realize that we are a very big part of ARCA. I'm very proud of what we've done.
We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll hear more about Venturini's transition into driver development. Stay tuned.
Venturini Motorsports is definitely a family-run operation. Matter of fact, the majority of the time, Venturini car has not hit the racetrack without one of their names over the door. But after a big crash at Daytona, Billy had to take a step back and figure out how to make this team run in a troubled economy.
I kind of had come to grips that it probably wasn't going to happen. Probably going to be a cup driver. And when I got injured, I crew chief for Jason Jarrett, and that was kind of like my first taste of it. And I kind of enjoyed that. I enjoyed it actually a lot. I didn't want to be out of the car at that moment, but I knew I was enjoying what I was doing out of the car. I knew funds were getting tight. We didn't have anything going business-wise here. And a buddy of mine who I worked with at the Petty Driving School when I was 18 years old or 19 years old, I just come across him just randomly, and he said, well, I'm spotting for a guy from up in Wisconsin who used to be a customer at the driving school. And I said, why don't you guys why don't he bring that over here and we'll field his race car for him. And it was enough revenue that it kept the doors open. And I started networking. I started talking to Joe Gibbs Racing about driver development. And I just got out there and was kind of telling people that we could do it, even though we had never proved that we could in that capacity. And basically, I just tried to talk the talk, and hopefully when we got the chance, we would walk the walk.
Venturini Motorsports would get that chance soon enough. In 2008, Joe Gibbs Racing had an up-and-coming young driver named Joey Logano, who was awaiting his 18th birthday to be eligible for the Nationwide Series. Gibbs decided to keep him busy in the ARCA Series and came to Billy and his father to present them with the opportunity of a lifetime for their team.
Our first project with Joe Gibbs Racing was Mark Davis the year before. I think that might have been a little bit of Gibbs' test of us also. And then I wanted that Logano deal worse than bad. Everyone wanted that deal. That was the holy grail of driver development at the time. And we picked a really good day to have a good day. I mean, we went there, set track record, led 260 of 312 laps or whatever it was, and lapped all but one car during the race. I mean, it was the most dominant performance probably to date at an ARCA race, and to be part of that was just a thrill of a lifetime, and it just really helped snowball an amazing ride.
In just 6 short years, Billy has helped transition the family business into a full-on driver development program, and he hopes that their success in ARCA will someday lead to a nationwide or even Cup Series team. With the determination he has already displayed, it certainly seems like a goal well within reach.
I'm very passionate about what I do, and I was when I drove. I'm every bit as passionate crew chief and owning them. I almost can say my enjoyment of racing has grown at every step. Like, I enjoyed when Dad did it. I enjoyed it more when I did it. And I think I even enjoy it more now than I did even when I drove. There's more pride in it now for me. Before it was me being part of the family business. Now it's still a family business, no doubt. But it was kind of like they gave me the reins and said, figure it out, and it's worked out really well. So there's a lot of self-satisfaction in that.
Wendy Venturini has grown up in motorsports ever since the day she was born. She's still in motorsports today. She's not a driver, she's not an owner or a crew chief. She does have one of the most recognizable faces on race day.
There's not too many families in motorsports that have been around that many years consecutively. You know, there's not been a year that the doors have been closed here. There was many times that came really, really close where they were going to have to shut down, and they were down to the bare minimum of my brother and one employee, but they were still running and they were still operational. And I think that was really important to my family, to not close down the business and not give up. And gosh, I know my parents can tell story after story about the sacrifices they made through the years in order to keep it happening. And it's just so many times you want your family to have a legacy, but at the same token, you know, there's so much that goes into it on the sponsorship side and the politics side, and so it's really unique that they have been in business over 30 years, and I don't think my grandfather, Tony, in a million years would have thought, when he was telling my dad that he was not going to go racing, he told my father, you know, I don't want you to race. I don't think he ever imagined what this was going to be, and he would definitely be proud today. We had been nominated and were up for the voting panel for the National Italian American Sports Hall of Fame. It's really a blessing. I mean, I know our family roots go deep back to Italy. You know, my great-grandfather immigrated from Italy, and to see how far from the little money he had in his pocket when he got on that boat and came to America to what our family legacy is leaving behind in motorsports today is a huge difference. And a lot of that goes to my grandfather and what he did as a businessman and as a driver in the 1950s, and then continuing on with my father and what he's accomplished. And it's quite the honor. I'm still in shock about it all, but there's some good names in the Hall of Fame, so I can't believe they're inducting my grandfather, my family, and myself, so I'm looking forward to it.
Venturini Motorsports is definitely a place to get noticed in the ARCA series. Last year, they hooked up with Ryan Reed, who's been trying to achieve his goals in motorsports since the age of 4.
My dad raced, and he raced on the West Coast, that's where I'm originally from. And so he got me to a go-kart when I was 4, as young as I could. You know, he was kind of crazy and wanted me to race, and just really kind of followed the go-kart ladder for the next 8 years, raced till I was 12, and then took a year off and built up our Legends car program. Legends cars, then off into late models, and then late models to, we did a little bit of Cane and East racing last year, but then really thought that ARCA would be the best development series for me. I mean, you know, with the radial tire, the high horsepower, the heavy car, I mean, and so it just really is a good transition series up into the top series. I felt like I've had success at every level. We won numerous karting championships, and then won my second Legends race ever, and so we, you know, and then late models, won my rookie year and rookie of the year, and was a contender for the championship. And it was just, you know, like so many race car drivers today, the success at a young age really propelled me to have a lot of confidence and then be able to, whatever I got in at that point, I seemed to excel in.
In the midst of his success, Ryan was dealt a crushing blow when he was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes at just 17 years age.
I was really upset, and I was actually mad at first because I didn't understand what it was, and the doctors were telling me I'd never race again, and it was just it was a very rough time, and so it really put in perspective how much I loved the sport and how much I couldn't just walk away from it. Got on this, it's called a continuous glucose monitor. The Dexcom makes it. It mounts my steering wheel. It always tells my blood sugar. I have a drink made by Pacific Health Labs that it's called Accelerate, and it treats if you know it just prevents it going on a low. It's an endurance drink with a protein, carbohydrate, sugar blend, and it was just unreal how fast everything happened from there.
Ryan's determination to race, along with some help from his doctors, would eventually put him back behind the wheel. After only a few months, Ryan would have an impressive qualifying at the Virginia is for Lovers 300, where he would catch the attention of Billy Venturini.
Last year, I mean, with being diagnosed with type 1 diabetes and you know, trying to start our own race team, it was really just a hectic year trying to get our feet under us. And with a fairly, I mean, I think it was already my second race with a crew chief and new guys. We went there and qualified 10th out of 80 cars, and Billy was there. The race ended early for us, but caught Billy's eye, and Billy, you know, we were obviously looking at the ARCA series because so many great drivers have come from the ARCA series, and it just made so much sense, and the relationship started, and here we are.
And the relationship got off to a great start when Ryan qualified second at Daytona for his ARCA debut. After that, Ryan realized the wealth of racing knowledge he had at his disposal.
Billy's always in my ear telling me, you know, hey, bud, I think you should do this different, and Bill is there, and you know, I lean a lot on him. I mean, he's a veteran, and you know, I can't learn enough from those guys. They've all been a part of this series for so long, and it's their 30th year in the series, and I mean, I'm just a sponge with them. I mean, I'm just trying to soak up all the knowledge that they have.
And Ryan hopes the knowledge he can gain from Venturini's, along with his newfound determination, may someday take him to the highest levels of racing.
Racing-wise, I want to go definitely. I want to sprint cup race, and it's changed for me because if you had asked me, you know, right a year and a half ago before I got diagnosed, I'd have been like, yeah, I want to drive race cars my whole life. It's my dream. But it's more than that to me now because I watch so many diabetics be held back from this disease. I want to show them that not just get close, not just race, you know, late models and stuff like that. I want to make it to Sprint Cup and show them I was in the middle of chasing my dream, got diagnosed, told I wouldn't do this, and went all the way to the top. Right now, I'm just along for the ride, and like I said before, just as long as I give 100% and do what I know I need to do as a driver, I can learn.
We had a chance to sit down with one of the talented and up-and-coming drivers at Venturini Motorsports, Brennan Poole. And he had a pretty unique story about how a Corvette sparked his interest in motorsports at 2 years old.
My dad always really wanted me to be like a big-time golfer. He loved golf, and so he took me to Toys R Us for like my second birthday, 2 years old, and was trying to get me a plastic golf set, and I got in one of these little like plastic battery-powered Corvettes, and I was driving around the store, and my mom was like, man, you gotta get that for him. So he ended up getting it for me, and I drove it like all the time. Like if the battery died, I started freaking out, screaming, crying. So my dad's managers at one of the stores that he was working at the time saw that I was really into cars and told him about quarter midget racing, which is like, you know, 2 miles from our track at our house in Sacramento. So went out there when I was 4. My dad asked me if, you know, we watched the races at night. He asked me if this is something I wanted to do, and I told him yes. And since then, I've been in the car since then. It's kind of weird. No one in my family's ever raced before. After that, I moved into legend cars when I was 12 years old. Raced everywhere. Raced the summer shootout at Charlotte, and I did that for a few years, and actually won a ton of races and had a lot of fun doing it. And then after that, I was trying to get out of high school so I could run some bigger cars, and at this time I think I was like 16, and so my dad put me in a dirt modified, and I just raced like local tracks all around my house, and I did that for 2 years, and I graduated high school a year early as a junior when I was 17, and that February I actually turned around and drove out here and started living with Jamie Yelton and raced late models with him for a few years. In 2009, we won Rookie of the Year, and in 2010 we won the most races ever in a single year, which is 6. And then this past year, in 2011, we started our own family team, and I ended up winning the 2011 UARA Stars Championship. And that's actually when I got my first ARCA start, was in 2011, which was at Salem, Indiana. You know, when I went from the UARA car and got into an ARCA car, it wasn't that big of a change for me. You know, it was very similar, other than the horsepower and it being a little bit heavier and being on a radial tire. That was you know, some of the changes I had to deal with, but it really wasn't a big deal. But I think UARA, they run so many worn out tracks, and you know, all over the southeast, that running on all those tracks where tire management is just so huge, it really taught me a lot on how to save my car and manage my tires, and it really helped me judge, you know, how good of a race car I had throughout the entire race. And you know, that's really important in the ARCA level. You gotta save your brakes. You gotta make sure that you know, you got tires at the end of the race so you can run with those guys. So there's a lot of things that it taught me. You know, so when I moved up to this level, man, I pull stuff that I used in UARA all the time to help me get through things.
The tricks that Brennan used in the UARA had actually caught the eye of Billy Venturini almost a year before. However, the timing just wasn't right for them to strike a deal. But in 2011, Brennan managed to put on a show at Hickory Speedway that sealed the deal for him to make the jump into the ARCA ranks.
He kind of had heard about me, and he tried to do something with me in 2010, and we kept on trying to work out something. We just never could come upon an agreement where we could get to race. So you know, we just kind of put it off, and you know, my dad and I decided we were just going to run UARA again for another year, and Billy came out to the season opener in 2011 at Hickory Motor Speedway to watch us race, and we ended up having an awesome night that night, and ended up winning the race. And that Monday, after the you know, we had race on Saturday. Monday he called, and you know, we came and met with him and worked out a deal for us to run Salem. And it was only a one-race deal, and Salem ended up going just perfect, and we won the race. So since then, you know, a lot of other opportunities have opened up for me, and it's really helped me be able to run a few more races. And of course, Venturini Motorsports has been really awesome about handling everything and business-to-business relations. It's been an awesome experience, and I'm really proud to be a part of this program. Venturini is just a big family organization. You know, it's mom, dad, Kathy, and Big Bill, and you know, you got Billy, their son, who's a third-generation race car driver, and even their daughter Wendy, who's an announcer on the sideline, who even does some of the ARCA races. So it's just cool to be a part of a team that has such awesome history. It's the 30th year running the ARCA series this year, so it's kind of an honor just to be a part of that season with them. And I've gotten to do some cool things like run Billy Venturini's throwback paint scheme and stuff like that. So it's been an honor to do some of those things, and I just feel, I just feel blessed to be a part of such an awesome team, and all the history, and from listening to Big Bill's stories and Kathy's racing stories going down the road and things like that is really cool. So I'm kind of one of those like nerdy history guys anyways. So I like hearing all that stuff, especially about the sport that I love.
That's it for another 3 Wide Life. Thank you to Venturini Motorsports for letting us come and hang out and hear about your last 30 years. And good luck on your next 30 years. Keep checking the Facebook, website, and Twitter for constantly updated content. Until next time, keep on living the 3 Wide Life.